All right, is there anyone wishing to speak before the public hearing on ordinance to rezone property on Long Road? All right, now I'll close the public hearing. Now I'd like to call to order the regular scheduled meeting of the Kingston City Council. I'd like to ask everyone to please stand. I'd like to ask Mr. Brown to lead us in the invocation. Mr. Kobe Johnson is going to lead us in the pledge of the flag.
Pray with me, please. Our Heavenly Father, once again, we come to you with grateful hearts. Thank you for the opportunity to come here as a body to meet and to do business with the city of Kingston. We have special prayer tonight. We ask that you be with the Suter family and the death of Tim's mom. Be with them and at this trying time, wrap your caring arms around them and try to bring them peace. And again, dear God, we thank you for your Son who died on the cross for our sins, that we may have a life ever after. We give you praise every day. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. May be seated. Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Councilmember Brown.
Present.
Councilmember Childs.
Present.
Councilmember Griffiths.
Present.
Vice Mayor Humphries.
Present.
Councilmember Stockton.
Present.
Councilmember Wright.
Present.
Mayor Neal.
Present. To hear a motion to approve the previous minutes as written.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second it.
The motion is second. Is there any corrections or deletions to the minutes?
No, sir.
Council?
No.
Madam Clerk, call the roll on the previous minutes, please.
Councilmember Brown.
Yes.
Councilmember Childs.
Yes.
Councilmember Griffiths.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Humphries.
Yes.
Councilmember Stockton.
Yes.
Councilmember Wright.
Yes.
Mayor Neal.
Aye.
7 ayes.
Are there any citizens that wish to address the council tonight? Go ahead and just come up to the microphone, state your name and your address. You can come on up.
I just wanted to let you know some information from the Rome Alliance that's going on this week.
Okay.
And you could pass that to the people in the audience. I'm Alan Lutz. I am the Director of Education and Workforce Development at the Rome Alliance and the Chamber of Commerce. And just want to let you know some of the things that we have going on within the community. And the first item, you got 2 pieces of paper, and on both sides of the paper has information. First one deals with Tennessee Scholars. We are looking for 23 more individuals to be volunteer mentors for the Tennessee Scholars Program, and that's for Rome County. You see a copy of a letter sent out by Bonnie Angus over at the Ron Woody's office, and we are looking to find Tennessee Scholar volunteers, Tennessee Chief Mentor volunteers for the 2022 graduates from Rome County High Schools. On the back of that is an announcement that this Thursday is the Chamber After Hours event on November 11th from 5 to 7 p.m. So it's an opportunity to network and meet with individuals. We also have coming up on this flyer here, an event that we started last year called the Jingle Mingle Market. At that time it kicked in just as things were starting to loosen up with COVID. Very popular, people love going to it. So that's a flyer. And on the back of it is a Women in Business Luncheon. It's a 4-event series. And the next one is on November 17th, where Teresa Duncan is the speaker for that event. And so the details of each of those items are on here. And if you can share particularly the information on the Tennessee Chief Mentors with individuals within the community, we greatly appreciate it. And I've got copies for everybody here. Yeah. Thank you, sir.
Anyone else wishing to address the council? All right, so I have a proclamation I'm going to read, and I'll bring the golf team up. So whereas the city of Kingston, the county seat of Rome County, Tennessee, and whereas the city of Kingston wishes to honor the Kingston Boys Golf Team, and whereas the Kingston Boys Golf Team and Mayor Tim New representing the city of Kingston hereby set aside November 9th, 2021 and honor this team in recognition of their accomplishments as follows. Finished the season with a record of 51-7-2, won the District 3 championship, won the Region 2 championship, finished the season as the Tennessee Division 1A state champions, whereas Colby Johnson and Blake Woody finished in the top 10 of the state and received all-state honors. Members of the team include Will Bacon, Alex Chandler, Caden Gurney, Braden Harda, Colby Johnson, Parker Jones, Will Medusky, Jonas Raymond, Nolan Raymond, and Blake Woody. Head coach Mike Neal and assistant Landon Hart. Whereas the City of Kingston wishes to thank the Kingston boys golf team for their contributions to the city and for setting an example of excellence for the citizens of Kingston. And therefore, Timothy Neal, Honorable Mayor of the City of Kingston, Tennessee, do hereby proclaim the 9th day of the month of November, 2021, Kingston Boys Golf Team Day, and urge all citizens to acknowledge their contribution to our city. So if you guys would come up, we'll get a picture. And I also failed to mention that this is the third state championship that the high school has won. First one in '99 and 2000, and then this year in 2021. Last year they were state runner-up, and the girls team went to the state for the first time in history of the school and finished third. So we congratulate them also.
Thank you.
Congratulations. Here we go. Say congratulations. All right, so we'll go into reports. We'll start with the council. Do you have anything to report, Mr. Hicks? Ms. Bryant?
No, sir.
Ms. Brown? No. Ms. Stockton?
One thing I'd like to report is one thing, it's a thank you to the city and Tim Clark's department on all the install of the veteran banners, because the Veterans Day, it was fantastic that the last banners brackets came in and they was able to install those. So it's a big thank you to them. They took a lot of time and effort, so they look very nice.
Mr. Childs, do you have anything to report?
The only thing I'd like to bring up with ball fields, sidewalks, boat ramps and stuff, everything coming to Kingston next few months. I guess from this council getting it all put together, Kingston's going to a lot of different next year.
There's a lot going on.
Yeah, and our report will be in the city managers, be that input.
Ms. Humphries, do you have anything to report?
Just we've got some activities coming up with Park and Rec. Everybody knows probably Monday, the 29th, is the Christmas parade at 7. And Saturday, December 4th, from 11 to 4:30, we're having the Christmas Bazaar at the community center and a candy cane hunt that same day. And if everything goes well with being able to get the tree decorated with the bucket truck issue, we will be having the tree lighting that same day at 5 o'clock at the community center.
Kingston Council meeting that
I don't have anything to report, so I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Bowling, City Manager, for his report.
Thank you, Mayor. I have just a few things here in addition to my written report. I know I sent an email out earlier and heard some conversations there about some vacancies. As you know, we've been hit with probably more this year than we've had in who knows how long, but that's just the nature of the environment we're in right now. We do currently have one vacancy in the fire department that Chief Gordon is still working to fill. We now have 2 vacancies in Parks and Rec. JR's in the process of interviewing for those. One of those was vacated a few weeks ago. The other, the notice that I sent you an email about today, and then also a vacancy that just came up in the police department that I also emailed you about, and I think Chief Washington has made some progress on that. I don't know if he's there. Obviously, I can't see, so I don't know if he's there or not, but if he is, Chief, you're welcome to bring him up to speed on that.
He's in the back of the room.
Yes, we have a certified part-time officer right now working for us, Marie Watson, and I have talked to her today, and she has accepted that position to move from part-time to full-time status.
Thanks, Chief.
So always good when we can see somebody start out and kind of work their way up the ranks like that, and I think that's going to be a great opportunity for her. So we're working our way through this, through these vacancies, and hope to get all of our departments back up to full staff just as soon as we can. Last year, if you remember, obviously we had a little different situation because of COVID. We didn't feel comfortable having the Christmas luncheon, and instead we divvied up what we would have spent on that, divided that out amongst the employees, and added that to the Christmas bonuses. I've been approached asking what we're going to do this year, and so I sent it back down the channel, down the pole there, if you will, to kind of get a feel for what the pulse was of our staff. And it seemed like most enjoyed having the extra bonus last year, and Michelle and I have been talking about that. Is that something we'd rather do again this year, or have a luncheon? And before we make any kind of decision, I wanted to bring it up to you guys to see if you have an opinion either way. Certainly nothing you have to answer tonight. You can let me know later, but I just wanted to throw that idea out there, because if we are going to have a luncheon, obviously we need to start making those arrangements pretty soon. Our bond documents, they'll be here on Friday for the mayor to sign those, so that's coming up, and then we'll be wrapping up that process. So anxious to do that. I think that obviously goes along with some of the things we're talking about tonight in terms of funding. Work is progressing on the pre-application for the ARC grant for the improvements to Ladd Park. We'll be ready to turn that in December, and then hopefully get the green light to apply for the actual grant. One thing I did want to throw out to you guys is highly encouraged as part of the pre-application to have letters of support. So if you know anybody, fishermen's groups or politicians or anybody who you think would be beneficial, feel free to get a letter of support on that, and we'll include those in the pre-application when you submit that. So we'll be working on that this month and getting that wrapped up. And I think that's all I have, unless you have any questions.
Does anyone have any questions for the city manager? I think you're off the hook tonight. All right. Item 7 is addition of items to the meeting agenda received after close of the agenda deadline by unanimous consent of all council members present.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we add, E, the consideration of awarding the contract for the lighting at Southwest Point.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Madam Clerk, call the roll, please.
Councilmember Brown?
Yes.
Councilmember Childs?
Yes.
Councilmember Griffiths?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Humphries?
Yes.
Councilmember Stockton?
Yes.
Councilmember Wright?
Yes.
Mayor Dale?
Aye.
7 ayes.
That'll be item E under new business.
Mr. Mayor, one question on that. On the two trucks that we brought up, the bucket trucks we have now, would that come under this, or would it come under
It would come under item D.
D?
D.
D.
All right, unfinished business. Item A is consideration of second reading of ordinance 2110-1201, an ordinance amending the zoning map of the city of Kingston, Tennessee, a rezoning tax map 058L Group F for parcel 003.01 and a portion of the adjacent right-of-ways of Longville Road and Lewis Drive from R1 residential to R2. To hear a motion to approve this on second reading.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Motion from Ms. Bryant, second from Mr. Brown. Mr. Wright.
Nothing, sir.
Mr. Brown.
No, thank you.
Council, any discussion? And clerk call roll on rezoning the parcel on Longville Road.
Councilmember Brown?
Yes.
Councilmember Childs?
Yes.
Councilmember Griffiths?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Humphries?
Yes.
Councilmember Stockton?
Yes.
Councilmember Wright?
Yes.
Mayor Denton?
Aye.
7 ayes.
Under new business, item A is consideration to authorize the city manager to solicit requests for qualifications from interested firms for the design of gateway signage for the city of Kingston.
Make a motion.
Motion by Ms. Stockton, your second.
I'll second it.
Second, Mr. Griffiths. Ms. Stockton.
Something we've needed for some time.
Mr. Griffiths. Council.
Did we get our money from the lines?
I don't think
And did we find out for sure how much it was?
it's about 7,500, and I don't think we requested it yet. I can put that request in writing and give it to them.
And are we going to cap this on how much it's going to be? And I'm assuming it's going to be over $7,500 where the money's coming from.
Isn't this just a request for qualifications?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's not very coming.
Yeah, I don't think we have anything to spend right now. Anything else, Mr. Brown?
No.
Madam Clerk, call the roll.
Councilmember Brown?
Yes.
Councilmember Childs?
Yes.
Councilmember Griffiths?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Humphries?
Yes.
Councilmember Stockton?
Yes.
Councilmember Wright?
Yes.
Mayor Denton?
Aye.
7 ayes.
Item B is consideration to authorize the city manager to solicit sealed bids for radar traffic light controls.
I make a motion.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Childs, second by Ms. Wright. Mr. Childs.
Long needed.
I don't think you need to, do we need to explain it? Ms. Wright.
Cannot wait.
Council. Madam Clerk, call the roll on this.
Councilmember Brown?
Yes.
Councilmember Childs?
Yes.
Councilmember Griffiths?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Humphries?
Yes.
Councilmember Stockton?
Yes.
Councilmember Wright?
Yes.
Mayor Denton?
Aye. Item C is consideration to authorize the city manager to purchase a 2013 Dodge Ram 5500 bucket truck from Custom Truck One Source in an amount not to exceed $69,000. I'm going to ask Mr. Bowling, is this vehicle still available from them, or has it been sold?
Mayor, I don't know, honestly. I've been a little out of pocket the last couple of days. We can certainly check. As I mentioned to you, after the workshop and in conversations, I just didn't feel confident enough that the support was there to do it, to spend the money that we need to spend to go look at it, inspect the truck, and also didn't feel right asking them to hold something for a week that we weren't sure we were going to buy. So I did pull that, but I felt like I needed to leave this on the agenda too, because you all asked me to put it on there. So if you want me to continue pursuing that truck, happy to do that. If you want us to look at other options, happy to do that. Or if you want to stick with our original plan of partnering with Rockwood on that truck, we can do that as well. So just need some direction from you as to what you want us to do from here, if anything.
Mayor, I make a motion that we purchase this truck. It's still available. It was my understanding after the workshop that we were going to look into the truck, and since that didn't happen, it may not still be available. But I'd like to make the motion, if it is available and it's certified and mechanically sound, that we purchase the truck.
I second.
Motion is second. Anything else on this?
No, I guess it would depend, if we knew that the truck wasn't available, I would amend the motion to something else. I guess we don't know, so we'll have to go from there. I was hoping we would have an answer today, since this is on the agenda, if the truck was available or not. I feel like that's a need that we do have, and I do, while I have the floor, I'd like to say I'd like some more information on this deal that the city manager has reached with Rockwood. I think there's still some questions to be answered as far as where physically the truck would be located, who would be maintaining it, who would pay for maintenance, several things. I think that there's a need for the truck that far extends anything to do with Christmas lights or banners. It's been said that it's going to be used for that a couple of times a year, but in looking at the street department's report, Tim has on there that to this point, year to date, it's been used 24 times for traffic signal repair and 20 times for tree trimming. And so that's 44 times that it's been used just by his department alone, not counting everything Park and Rec has used it for. So I believe that justifies the need for the equipment without it becoming a safety issue with our employees of doing things in an unsafe manner because they don't have access to the bucket truck that they would need to do it safely.
Stockton, give anything?
I feel like the department heads are the ones that will let you know if there's a need, and I don't believe the department head would ask for this if there were.
Mayor, if I could, real quick, just to answer a couple of those questions. One, as far as the details on the truck, if we end up doing a partnership with Rockwood, we don't have those worked out yet. I have talked to Sandy just a little bit about that, and Sandy and his counterpart in Rockwood will be, if we go that route, we'll be drafting an interlocal agreement that both councils would agree to, and the details would be laid out in that. So we haven't got to that point yet. In terms of this truck, I have no idea if it's still available or not. I'd be shocked if it is, to be honest, as in demand as these are. So, one thought would be, if you all want us to pursue a used truck, to vote to authorize us to spend up to a certain dollar amount, and then leave it to us to find one. And there may be one available now. There may not be one. One may pop up 2 or 3 weeks from now. So that's just something I wanted to throw out. It might be a little easier than making a motion on this specific truck if that's something you want to do.
Mayor, with that being said, and us not knowing if that one's available, I'd like to amend the motion to instruct the city manager to search for and purchase a certified and sound used bucket truck in an amount not to exceed $80,000.
A second amendment.
Madam Clerk, will you call the roll on the amendment, please?
Wait, do we not get any more discussion?
We need to have the
Okay.
amendment and go back.
Councilmember Brown,
No.
Councilmember Childs,
No.
Councilmember Griffiths,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Humphries.
Yes.
Councilmember Stockton,
Yes.
Councilmember Wright,
No.
Mayor Neal.
Aye.
4 ayes, 3 nays.
Okay. So now the motion to read is that to instruct the city manager to authorize him up to $80,000 to purchase a used bucket truck if one can be found.
Yes.
That is the
If
original.
it's certified and mechanically sound, yes.
Mr. Bowling, the question I've got is I know we've had trouble locating a new bucket truck. What was the cost of a new bucket truck that we were looking into? Do you remember that cost?
I mean, it varies. I mean, I think obviously you're talking about a wide margin there. I think the one we looked at was somewhere in the $130,000 range. But again, those trucks aren't available, and that goes back to why we couldn't bid it out as requested, because all the people we talked to said that once the trucks do come available, the pricing will be different. So, as with anything with supply and demand, as long as the demand's hot, the price is going to go up. So, who knows what it will be in 6 months or whenever trucks start coming available. But I think the one we looked at was right around $125,000 range. And again, it could be a little higher than that. Kelly might remember. I don't have it in front of me. So.
Some was 124,000, others were 130, and on the side of the curve.
When you talk to them, was it more of like the chip issue that they're having with other trucks around the country, or is it just they're not making it?
It's a whole host of things, the components that go into it, the lifts, the hydraulic equipment, of course the issues with the trucks. They're not rolling out trucks themselves, so it's there's supply issues across the board with these. And again, they said they're hoping that they have trucks available by July, but he said, this for a while they won't ever hit the line. So it's going to be really tough to get a new truck anytime soon. If we we can certainly pursue that, but just don't expect anything anytime soon.
Council? Ms. Ryder?
Do we know when the bucket truck, do we have one bucket truck or two currently? And they're both decertified.
Correct.
When were they decertified?
This was the first year that we weren't able to get them certified.
Do we have an understanding as to why they're not on the surplus list tonight? They're going to be added?
We just haven't. We just, that they've been getting added, we just didn't have them on there for this month, but certainly the intent is to surplus those.
Okay. The other question I have is, there are going to be citizens that start using their Google degrees and looking at bucket trucks, and they will see that there are quite a few bucket trucks available close. I still don't have a clear understanding as to why certain bucket trucks that are fairly new aren't certified. Is it a process the truck has to go through, or they never get certified? I'm just not clear on how that process works. I wish Tim was here to kind of explain that to me, because I couldn't find any information about the certification of trucks.
So I'll speak on it the best I can, and certainly Tim could answer this better. But the certification is on the hydraulic systems, not the truck itself. So you could have a 3-4-year-old truck that's been used to the point that they'll no longer recertify the hydraulic systems on it, the lift system. Or you could have a 10-year-old truck that has far less hours that is still certified. So it's based on the inspection of the lift, the lift system itself, and not the truck.
Okay.
So it has nothing to do with the year of the truck or the mileage or anything like that. So.
Right, so you can't buy a truck that's not certified yet and then get it certified? Or you purchase them certified?
Well, you would purchase, obviously, if you're a private business or you're somebody like that who's willing to assume that risk, then, that may be a different scenario. But in our case, no, you wouldn't buy a used, I wouldn't recommend by any means buying a truck that wasn't certified.
No, that's not what my question was. I'm just trying to figure out how that works so I can explain it.
So the trucks are inspected, again, I could be wrong, but the way I understand the trucks are inspected every year, every 2 years. And once one's decertified, it would have to be, the hydraulic systems would have to be replaced, all that. So, there are a lot of trucks on the market that aren't certified. And again, those might work for some people in certain situations. In our case, where we have to have a certified truck, then, that truck wouldn't work for us. So I hope I'm answering that right.
I'm sure you're answering as best you can.
And also, David, on the rental that we're going to do for the Christmas light and banner situation, which that is taken care of. That's a moot point in this to me because we're going to rent one, so that's not even something we have to think about for another year. But there are a lot of instances where the bucket truck wouldn't be needed throughout the year. But for that, is it not right around $4,000 that we're paying to rent this truck? And is that for 2 weeks? Is that for a month? What's that for?
So you can rent it 3 ways. You can rent it by the week, you can rent it for 2 weeks, you can rent it by the month. And the month was just a little bit cheaper. I mean, just a little bit more expensive. So we've actually rented this truck for a month, and in hopes that, obviously we have to take veterans banners down, we have to put Christmas lights up, we have a Christmas tree to decorate, and hopefully while we have it, we can line up some other work that might be put off because we don't have a bucket truck. And of course, in a couple of months, we're going to be right back in a situation where we're going to have Christmas lights that people are going to want to take down. So, that won't be as time consuming. So there's a chance, we could work with RU or somebody else to make arrangements on that. But we will have the truck for this situation. But, when you're looking at basically, $4,000 a month to rent a truck, that's not a long-term solution. So that's just something we had to do to get out of the jam, and hopefully, if we buy a truck, then obviously we won't have to worry about that. If we don't buy a truck, then hopefully we won't have much of a need until we can get this truck from RU in July, hopefully.
So if we go that route and we have, for instance, a traffic light down, then we would be seeing if the truck, well, from now till August or July, we would have to get Rockwood Electric to come and repair the street light, and after July, we would be working out a shared arrangement if the truck is available to come and repair the traffic light, correct?
Yeah, if we had, in the interim, if we had a traffic light go out, for example, we try to work something out with REU, and I know if they're available, they would certainly come help us. They always are really good to do that. My biggest thing was with the Christmas lights, when you're looking at a 2 to 3 week project in terms of taking down the veterans banners, putting all the new lights up, and the associated work with some of those places where we didn't have lights before, I felt like that was just too much to ask of REU, and I know they'd help us any way they could, but I could envision a scenario where we get halfway through and then snow comes through or something, or a storm, and then they're pulled off for a few days. So we really felt like that was our only option now, but we could always, worst case, between now and then, if we needed it for anything else, we could always rent one if it's available. But again, it's not very cost efficient to do that.
Well, I personally think we need a bucket truck. I know, for example, 2 months ago, I asked Tim to meet me at the library. He wasn't able to, so one of his workers did. And there's a high limb there, and of course, where our bucket trucks are down, so they wouldn't feel safe doing it. So I think we need one because, we don't know when we need one, would it be available? Rockwood could be using it. And of course, I think we need at least see what's out there. As soon as I'm certified, we'll have a good price, at least check into it. Because I think it just be sometimes aggravating trying to get with Rockwood, and they could be doing something at the same time that we need. So that's why like I think.
Well, I know I had mentioned once before about the gutters at the amphitheater, and that's been months ago. I got that complaint. I've mentioned that several times. And it couldn't be done because we didn't have a bucket truck. And then speaking to JR today, he brought some kind of big ladder he had at home. That was his personal ladder. And they did use it to clean the gutters out and got them cleaned out after all these months. They had roots growing out of them. But that's something that was done not in the safest manner, because that's the way it had to be done, and that's what's going to be done going forward. Is they'll do it the best way they can, and we'll hope we don't have anybody hurt.
Mr. Childs, you have anything?
Well, RU just sold their truck. It was a, I can't remember, I don't have it in front of me, the year model, it was a 20-something. And it's basically the same truck that was right here. Of course, Dodge this year's model had a lot of transmission problems and stuff. And it sold for $37,000 as of yesterday. It's about the same truck as this one right here.
Was it certified or not certified?
I don't know, I didn't ask Kendall, but they were using it up until they got, I mean, they're getting the new ones in, I think in July. But it's up $37,000.
Is that the one they told David we didn't want?
That's one I told David we didn't want. Because anything you get on go.com, it comes with this, they're on there for a reason. There's something wrong with it. So nobody's gonna get rid of that certified working truck on there for the amount we're looking for. That's on because of the hydraulic and stuff. Most of the trucks, like David said, they may have low mileage, but they may have sat there and worked 12 hours in one spot. You don't know how many hours in hydraulics it work, unless you know what hours on the truck. Right. Of course, and then when the next one comes up, that'll help solve some of our money also too towards the bucket truck when we go to get the date.
Anything else?
Not it.
Mr. Brown, you have anything?
Well, you know I do. You know, it's not that I don't think we need a bucket truck. I know that Tim and his guys use it. I know that the county has borrowed it from time to time because the county doesn't have a bucket truck. I'm glad to see the amendment on this. I can't believe that any one of you council members would spend $70,000 on a vehicle for your personal use without even looking at it. Again, when we talked about this particular truck, and I'm assuming that any other truck that we look at, certification is good for 2 years, so we may be guaranteed 2 years of service for now $80,000 instead of the $10,000 more for $40,000 a year when we think we've got an agreement that we can still look at another truck. You're talking, Dave just told us that a new truck was $130,000, so you're looking at $50,000 more. Again, I'm going to ask where the money's coming from. Where do you anticipate getting this money to spend for this $80,000? And since it's a new truck, I think this motion is out of order because there's a process that we as a city to keep the comptroller of the state of Tennessee happy with our finances, that there's a procedure to go through, and we have not followed that procedure to purchase any type of vehicle. So I'll be voting against the motion.
So just to answer a couple of those points, obviously this wasn't in the budget. So, you know, these funds would, if this is approved and we found the truck, these funds would have to come out of the fund balance, and the budget, you know, would be amended, and, you know, it's certainly, you know, the fund balance can handle that. Again, I'm not endorsing that one way or the other, but there would be no other way to pay for that because we're in the middle of a fiscal year. In terms of the process for buying it, obviously it's used, so we don't have to bid it out. What we would have to do prior to buying any truck to satisfy the comptroller is we would have to get, we would have to certify that it is that the price is good, and what we do is there are different entities that do this, and they'll certify it based on Blue Book value and a couple of different other equipment values, and they come in and say it's the price is within reason, and that will satisfy the comptroller on a used piece of equipment. So we've had to do that on other equipment in the past, and we would do that before we bought anything.
Mr. Mayor, with that being said, I move to postpone this until the next regular scheduled meeting.
I have a motion to table this motion about the amount not to exceed $80,000. Is there a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second to table this until the next meeting. Now, clerk, call the roll on the motion to table.
Councilmember Brown?
Yes.
Councilmember Childs?
Yes.
Councilmember Griffiths?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Humphries?
No.
Councilmember Stockton?
No.
Councilmember Wright?
Yes.
Mayor Neal?
Aye. So it'll be on our next month's agenda. Item D is consideration to authorize a surplusing of equipment by multiple departments. Do you hear motions to surplus this equipment?
Make a motion.
Second.
A motion by Mr. Childs. Do you want to add anything to that
Yes,
motion?
oh,
before?
I'm sorry. I'd like to make an amendment to it on the 2 bucket trucks that we have. I believe they are in operation, is that correct, David? They're just not certified?
Excuse me, I couldn't hear you, what'd you say?
They are in working order, they're just not certified, correct?
They are not certified. I think they're both in good working order. One may need a little bit of work. I mean, they're both really old trucks, but the last I heard, they were in working order, so.
I'd like to amend this to add those to govdeals.com because they're working order, they will sell based on what we sold with REU this week. And that would put us maybe $30,000, $40,000 closer to our new truck. And if we can't use them, they're not certified, they're taking up space, be rid of them.
Before I ask for a second,
And do we have?
is there a second?
Second.
Motion by Mr. Childs, second. Then Ms. Stockton, Mr. Childs, Ms. Stockton. Anyone else?
Just a question for the city manager. David, have we fulfilled our obligation to the U.S. government on the big bucket truck? That's where it came from?
To my knowledge, that one didn't come with any, because it wasn't military, it didn't come with any obligation, but I'll check that.
So I have one more question. So council has the authority to request items be put on a surplus list that the department heads didn't put on the list?
I did discuss that with the department head and the city manager this
Okay.
week, and they were all for it.
Okay, so in that same question, is it my understanding that we just bought the new trucks for Parks and Rec, that they're only surplusing 2 of their vehicles and keeping the rest?
Did you speak to them?
I have no idea.
That's all we have on there right now. That's not, they just, Parks and Rec got into, we got into vehicles. You purchased 3 trucks, 2 of it come in. So, we have 2 on here to get rid of, and we'll address more. I mean, we may be bringing more to you,
Okay.
but that's all we have on here this month.
Okay, thank you.
I know in speaking with JR the other day, he indicated that there would be more to come.
Okay, great.
Anything else you brought up?
I've got another amendment.
Okay.
Under the Parks and Recreation, the 1999 Toro Real Master 5200D, I would move that we remove that item from the surplus to go on govdeals.com, and that we transfer ownership to the Rome County High School. Coach Whitter is here. If you just stand up just a moment. This is the new baseball coach for Kingston, Coach Jake Whitter. He's the one that's been using this piece of equipment. If you've not seen it, the real mower makes it look good. He thinks he can get somebody to fix it, but he didn't want to do that, and it belonging to the county or to the city. And I think David may have spoken to JR about that also.
That was my question. Is JR.
You what?
That was my question. Is JR in on this?
I think David has spoken to JR, and I may be wrong on that.
Is there a second? Is there a second on the amendment? 1 second.
Second.
Second, Mr. Childs. Madam Clerk, call the roll on the amended item, please.
We see if David,
Yeah.
Well, 1 second, David, what have you got to say?
I was just going to verify, yes, I did talk to JR about this, and he and I are in complete agreement with doing this. So if they want it, they can use it. We're glad for them to have it.
Thank you.
Now, call the roll, please.
Councilmember Brown.
This is both amendments, Mr. Mayor?
This is, I think, his first motion added the 2 trucks. All this is doing is taking the mower off of the list.
Yes.
Councilmember Childs.
Yeah.
Councilmember Griffiths.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Humphries.
Yes.
Councilmember Stockton.
Yes.
Councilmember Wright,
Yes.
Mayor Neal.
Aye. So now is a consideration to authorize surplusing equipment, adding the 2 bucket trucks to that list, and removing the tow rope. Is there any other discussion on that? Madam Clerk, call the roll, please.
Councilmember Brown,
Yes.
Councilmember Childs.
Yes.
Councilmember Griffiths.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Humphries.
Yes.
Councilmember Stockton.
Yes.
Councilmember Wright,
Yes.
Mayor Neal.
Aye.
7 ayes.
And the agenda item that was added, item E is consideration of awarding the contract for the lighting at Southwest Point Fields not to exceed $700,224. Do I hear a motion, please?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Brown, any more discussion on this?
In this, I would just, what my intent of my motion is to authorize the mayor to sign this contract after the city manager and the city attorney look at the contract that Train said that they had prepared, and that we award this for the baseball based on that price with the stipulation that we'll have it done, and I'm assuming they'll put that in there for us.
Ms. Wright, do you have anything?
I don't.
Council members?
So your motion is that we award this to Train.
Any other discussion? Madam Clerk, call the roll, please.
Councilmember Brown,
Yes.
Councilmember Childs,
Yes.
Councilmember Griffiths,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Humphries,
Yes.
Councilmember Stockton,
Yes.
Councilmember Wright,
Yes.
Mayor Neal.
Aye.
7 ayes.
That being the end of the agenda item, this meeting is adjourned. Now I'd like to call in order the regular meeting of the Kingston Beer Board. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Member Brown.
Present.
Member Childs.
Present.
Member Griffiths.
Present.
Vice Chair Humphries.
Present.
Member Stockton.
Present.
Member Wright.
Present.
Chairman Neal.
Do I have a motion to approve the previous minutes as written?
I'll make the motion.
Is there a second? Motion by Ms. Wright, second by Mr. Childs. There are no corrections or deletions. Madam Clerk, will you call the roll on the minutes?
Member Brown.
Yes.
Member Childs.
Yes.
Member Griffiths.
Yes.
Vice Chair Humphries.
Yes.
Member Stockton.
Yes.
Member Wright.
Yes.
Chairman Neal.
Aye. Meeting's adjourned. Then we go into the regular meeting of the Kingston Water Board. Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Member Brown.
Yeah, present.
Member Childs. Member Griffiths.
Present.
Vice Chair Humphries.
Present.
Member Stockton.
Present.
Member Wright.
Present.
Chairman Neal.
Present. Do you hear a motion to approve the previous minutes as written?
I'll make a motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion by Mr. Griffiths, second by Ms. Humphries. Do you see any corrections or deletions in minutes? Board members? Call the roll on the previous minutes.
Member Brown.
Yes.
Member Childs.
Yes.
Member Griffiths.
Yes.
Vice Chair Humphries.
Yes.
Member Stockton.
Yes.
Member Wright.
Yes.
Chairman Neal.
Aye. Now, do we have any citizens that wish to address the water board tonight? Okay, seeing none, we'll go into the utility director report. Mr. Bowman.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a few things here in addition to my written report. I'm happy to say that we received the first half of our ARP funds today. As of now, I believe there's 6 cities who still haven't received theirs. They may have gotten theirs today too, but that's what it was this morning. And learned today that 3 cities had actually turned theirs down, so I thought that was interesting. But we do have our first installment in. We'll get the second installment, as you know, this time next year. And those funds are deposited. So glad to have that. Kevin and I last week attended the PAUD conference in Gatlinburg. As you can imagine, this was the prevalent topic of conversation. And one of the benefits, the PAUD has hired John Greer, who you all may remember that name from working a long time in the comptroller's office. So he brings a lot of relative experience right now to them, and in talking with them and the state that were both there, a few points that they harped on that I really wanted to pass on. For one, made it very clear that speculative projects will not be approved. And, with a room full of utilities, several had examples of things that they were wanting to do or their counties were wanting to do, such as, we've got 100 acres out here in the country. We want to develop it to an industrial park one day. We want to run infrastructure out to it as part of that process. They said that will not be approved. If there was a residential development, a potential residential development, and you wanted to run water lines in advance of that, that would not be approved. They really want the focus of this from the infrastructure side to be on replacing aging infrastructure. That's what they're going to look at. They said, especially as you start talking about some of the state matching funds, they said expect a lot of scrutiny if you try to submit a project that doesn't address your aging infrastructure, doesn't address your I&I. In other words, if you have these, if you're requesting something outside the box, you better have all these other things already in good shape, or you're going to get kickback on it. They also talked about, and this you can imagine the silence in the room when they reminded everyone of this, that all of the ARP infrastructure projects that are done will have to be depreciated, just like if we pay cash for it ourselves, which means that depreciation is going to have to be accounted for as an expense in budget. So they said be prepared that you may be doing a project with free money that could cause your rates to have to go up if you don't have enough cushion to cover that added depreciation. So that's something that we'll have to keep a close eye on and evaluate those numbers as we start talking about projects. They also said to be very, very careful. They didn't say don't do it, but they said to be very careful about spending any money prior to the final rules coming out. So, and they said that probably 20 times. So I know some places have already spent some of their money, so they're taking a pretty big risk with that. One of the things that is going to help us is this infrastructure needs assessment that TAED and TDEC are partnering on. The final version of that should be approved later this month, and then there'll be some training, and they'll work with us to get that done. And once that's behind us, then I think it's probably would be to our benefit either in December or January to look at having another workshop so we can start talking more specifics and start getting our mind around what we might want to spend this money on. Another thing we're going to want to do pretty soon is solicit for engineering firms. So if we do have any projects that have to be engineered, we already have somebody, a relationship with somebody, because the big fear is that once these get going, engineers are going to be impossible to get because they're all going to be full of work. So a lot coming, obviously a lot more to learn, but I just wanted to update you on those few things, and certainly be something that we'll be talking more about in the weeks and months to come. And that's all I have unless you have a question.
Are there any questions for the utility director?
I have two questions. On David, one of the questions is did they mention, I think y'all had spoke about being at the conference, that replacing any of the old aging pipes, is this something that is also going to cover the paving to replace once you do that? Because I think it's
so there's some people say yes, some people say no. So in TDEC's opinion, that's one of the things that they hope is clarified in the final rules that come out. And that's why they're cautioning people not to spend any of that money yet. But some interpret it as that yes, it would cover it if it is just for the just for the what has to be dug up to put a line in. But again, they don't want to give a final answer on that. What they don't want to happen is the case that one county mayor brought up, not to the conference, but to the comptroller, and they told us about it, is he said, well, I want to pave a bunch of new roads, so I'll just stick a 2-inch water line in the ground alongside them, and I'll use ARP money to pay for this. And they very quickly said, we'll get ready to pay us back. So, I think there'll be some, long story short, I think there'll be some allowance for that, but again, we don't have final answers on anything.
Thank you. And then the second question I had, the funds that, because we were talking, I think, in this the meeting where that we were trying to get as many funds that were matching funds that we could get. And I believe it was Ms. Wright that made the motion on sending the letter in to the county on the funds that they had. The county the commission had set a deadline on that and had requested to have a plan submitted as well, but Kingston has not submitted a plan. Is that something that Kingston's prepared? Like, is that something we're...
No, we are not, and that was the point of the letter that I sent the county commission. I think Councilmember Brown moved for us to do that, and as I pointed out then, try to point out diplomatically in that letter, it's way too soon. And they're asking people to submit plans when the final rulings aren't even in. So I did talk to one county commissioner off the record who was of the opinion that deadline is absolutely non-binding. But to answer your question, officially, we never got any response to the letter that we submitted, and we copied the county executive and the other members of that committee on it. Nobody acknowledged receiving it officially. And also, and somebody correct me if I'm wrong on this, but I believe that committee met and they voted against every submission that they had received. So I think that whole process is still very premature. I think it's in flux. I don't know how, I've heard bits and pieces back and forth that the committee's going to go away, that it's going to stay. So I don't know how that's going to be resolved. I do know that they've all been confirmed that the state matching funds that will be coming down will go to the county. And then there will be some process for allocating those. I think everybody urged TNUD, basically everybody involved urged the state not to do it that way, but they've made their mind up. Basically told us at the conference that they would rather deal with a few counties here, relatively speaking, a few counties than a whole bunch of cities. But the money's going to go two ways. A certain amount will go to each county. We'll get a flat rate. I think it's $2 million or something like that. And then the rest will be divided amongst the counties based on population. So there is a number out there of how much Roane County is getting. I don't have it in front of me, but so I don't want to quote it. But then they will be responsible somehow to allocate that to match some of our projects. But all of that will be, as far as the state money, will be toward infrastructure from everything we're being told.
Thank you.
Anyone else for Mr. Bowman?
Just what Ms. Terry was talking about, it's my understanding, talking to one of the commissioners on the committee, they did indeed meet and they voted everything down so that they were going to try to spend the money for county purposes only. There was a motion at the county commission last night to do away with that committee, and it failed.
If there's nothing else for the utility director and there's no new business, is there anything else to come before the water board tonight? Seeing none, this meeting's adjourned.